Good evening and welcome to another amusing application of elusive alliteration and pungent perspicacity of our rapturous, rippling, rumbustious panel for tonight here on Wednesday Night Undressed. I'm so excited I could crush a grape. On the panel tonight, we have the indomitable Kathleen.
Hello.
That marvel of female bohemian sophistication. She's still here, yes. Sophistication, Jane Carter.
Hello.
The Transylvanian Dark Lord of Literature, Pheromones and Steak Fries, Ivo Ivanov.
Good day.
Our friend all the way from the southern parts of America, Mr. Fernando.
Hello.
Oh. And young Brennan.
Yeah? What do you want?
A student of perspicaciousness.
Yes. Your introduction now makes about 1% sense. It used to make maybe 10%.
Yeah.
It's like progressively decreased.
And I'm Jeremy Taylor, well-known English person.
You sound absolutely dead right now.
Yeah, what the hell's wrong with you, dude?
He's mad.
Dreadfully fed up,
Go
cold,
crush a grape.
wondering why I'm here.
Oh,
Because you
that's
chose
such
to
a
be
cheery.
All our questions, though, we have some phenomenally fantastic questions. And my first question is to Mr. Ivo, because he is from the Bulgarian steppes. The steppes of Bulgaria.
There's
What-
mountains and valleys, but no steps.
What kind of ancient warrior were you, Mr. Ivo? And how do you know?
All right, this question makes no sense whatsoever. I don't know what the heck does that mean. What kind of ancient warrior am I?
Were you a samurai?
Were you a
or-
samurai?
Oh, so you're implying there's reincarnation?
Yeah, or a Norse Viking.
So so this question is based on the assumption that we've lived other lives before.
Or what would you like to have been?
Okay, that makes more sense. What would you like to have been? Okay. That is a really, really, really bad question.
Would you like to be somebody else?
No, it's okay. I'm thinking maybe if I was anything, I probably want to be a Thracian.
A what?
Thracians, you know the Thracians, like Spartacus was Thracian,
Yeah.
Orpheus was Thracian. Those were people that lived where my country is now. They lived on the same territory where Bulgaria is now. So Spartacus came from that part of the world. He was actual character, actual historic figure, and they were kind of noble people. They had rich culture, which unfortunately didn't leave much trace, ironically. And yeah, there's some ancient cities that remain like ruins, but not much written heritage. And they were very interesting.
Well, there's all those
people.
films of Spartacus.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
And they
that's
don't
history,
say
isn't it?
I want to be
Bulgarian
Spartacus
in
from the
those
TV
films.
show,
Thracian.
not
Wasn't
from the
Bulgarian.
movie, just the TV show. They had a lot of fun.
You know, I've always liked the Celts. I've always been fascinated by the Celts.
They
Not
seem drafty to me.
Yeah,
Celts.
yeah. Not so much by the Scandinavian Vikings, but but the Celts were always very interesting to me. They seem to be very.
Changing. Which one would you rather be?
That's a good question. I'll stick with the Thracians, just because I come from that neck of the woods.
You could have been a Celtic Thracian.
So, Kathleen,
Oh, yeah,
you started talking. So, what about you? What would you like to have been?
There's no question. I was an Amazonian.
Oh,
No question whatsoever.
Amazon.com.
Yeah. And no, I didn't just order books on the internet.
The warriors of 2-day free shipping.
Yeah.
And
Independence, tall, strong.
And destroying the retail stores.
They'd get together with men as a
And the
group
rest of the planet.
once a year.
Destroyers of penises all over.
Amazonians did, at least the legend says that they did perform mastectomy,
Yeah.
so they can shoot the bow and arrow.
I can believe that because
Yeah.
I've done a little archery and
Yeah.
it would be much easier.
With one boob.
Yeah.
They would remove one of their
D-boob,
boobs.
would you?
D-boob.
Mono
Yeah.
boob.
Question.
It's good in the way when shooting a bow.
Mono boob's a great name for a rock
Monoboob.
band.
So, yeah. But wouldn't it have been incredibly painful removing a boob without anesthetic?
These are Amazonian
Amazonian, they don't care.
women. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can do that. And besides, childbirth, hey, who cares?
Yeah.
I remember bringing up the no anesthetic thing. I remember a bit from, I think it was Billy Budd, the movie, where they had to amputate an arm, and pretty much the closest thing to an anesthetic was biting down on a big piece of wood. Mm-hmm. God, I can't think.
So what would you like to have been, Brennan?
That's a good question. I've
I know.
never really considered anything
Well,
like.
consider it now. What would
Like
you
a
like to
Viking,
have
maybe?
been?
He's a lover, not a fighter.
I think
Ancient warrior, of course, an ancient warrior to you could be someone who was fought in the First War.
Yeah.
I think Fernando knows if you want some time.
Yeah. Fernando.
Oh,
Fernando.
I don't like. I mean, I never like pursue like to be a fighter or any sort of aspect. But I mean, I think it'd be fun, like Spartacus from the TV show. I mean, because they have fun.
But you come
Yes.
from Brazil, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Did they not have ancient warriors in Brazil?
Not on any history book that I'm aware, but I mean there was some, of course, with some of the natives.
Would they not
but
have been like the
nothing really-
Aztecs and that sort of thing?
Nothing really on the record. There was some guerrillas, not ancient. So you're talking about probably in early 1800s or I think 1800s that I kind of take my hat for some of the guys that was fighting against the system. Disappropriation of lands. But I mean, not ancient. It's a new world. We're talking about not too long ago.
I think I'd have liked
So-
to have been a Viking king, so I wouldn't have
I
had
like
to go
the
out
Vikings
on the
too,
boat
yeah.
because I get seasick, and it would have been.
Oh,
So
you
you'd,
would.
you'd be the king, stay
yeah,
stay
I'd
on
have
land.
stayed at home and hope that they bought
Did
some
Viking
virgins.
kings not go out on
I was
boats?
Virgins and a bit of gold.
He puts the king in Viking.
Yeah.
I take my words back. I kind of always been fascinated when I was a kid with the Native American heroes here in the United States, like Winnetou. Like
They
the-
were badass warriors.
Yeah, the Carl May creations and the Fenimore Cooper.
right.
Cooper, the authors that wrote. And Carl May never really went to North America, but he wrote these fascinating, beautiful stories about the heroes like Wutsana and Winnetou, and always been fascinated by those guys. It would be, and I also kind of relate to their philosophy. I relate to the connection with the earth, with nature, with respect to the animal spirit. If I am atheist, but if I come in any way close to some kind of religion or belief, it's probably with their respect to nature and the great spirit that exists in everything. So,
Jane,
I would
sort of
definitely.
warrior S would you like to?
I would definitely be a kick-ass shield maiden
the Viking.
with the Vikings. Yeah, that would have been me for sure.
Would you have raped and pillaged?
if needs be?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She would
Of
kick.
course I would.
She
Of
would
course
kick an
I
enormous
would.
amount of ass. There would be an
Yeah.
abundant amount of kicked ass all over.
I've
the
never
world.
really
love
understood how women
medieval
can do
weapons.
the raping thing. I can understand how women can pillage. I mean, I know that. I've learned that from my first marriage. But I don't know. I'm not quite sure how. But the point, what I'm getting at.
somebody thought that was funny.
Now, where I'm going with this is, you're standing over a guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, with a big sword to his throat. How can he?
Perform.
I don't understand.
This is probably a great time to move on to the next topic.
I'm just surprised that nobody chose samurai.
I was
Oh,
actually.
no,
I
yeah,
had-
they're like-
I had finally had one at the end. I was gonna say European naval commander, like from the
Not exactly an
That's
ancient warrior.
ancient.
not
Warriors,
ancient, but
no.
it's the closest thing I could consider.
Okay.
Samurais, yes. The lonesome samurai.
Okay, conspiracy theories. What are your favourites? Do you ever privately think that occasionally they may be true? For example, in my case, Roosevelt and Churchill, did they know about the Pearl Harbor attack in advance and did nothing?
That's a famous one.
If I'm given enough time, I usually say I think I can satisfy a reasonable person that they both knew about it in advance, probably to within 24 hours accuracy.
So there is no paper on that? Like, I mean, because they declassify so many papers from the past.
The American stuff is all declassified, but the British stuff is not all declassified.
Yeah.
So
Will it ever be? Because I know the Official Secrets Act is pretty strong about that.
The Churchill papers are not going to be declassified, as I understand it, either for another 30 years or 100 years after the last person mentioned in those papers has died.
Jeez.
All right.
Wow.
But
Jeez.
I'm not going. I'm not saying let's all talk about Winston Churchill and Roosevelt. I'm just saying there are all sorts of conspiracy theories about whether or not they actually went to the moon and did they do this.
They never went to the moon.
Did Hillary
I
Clinton
want
actually
Area 51 to be real.
Yeah.
I really
like that
want
one.
it. Yeah.
Roswell and Area
I bet it
51.
is.
That'd be awesome.
You think?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It's not just military base where they test new craft.
We were in a car once with
Interesting.
somebody who, who could have ended up as prime minister. For certain circumstances, and who's someone we knew quite well. And so we were just talking because we were on a long car journey. We were sort of just yakking. And I said to him, well, so you get to be prime minister, right? Yes. I said, what's the first thing you're going to do? And he goes, I think the first thing you do is, after you've got over it, when you suddenly realise you're prime minister, is you start to ask questions, right? Because they have to tell you. And then he reckoned that they don't actually have to tell you.
Yeah.
And so there are people who know things in the countries who are not obliged to reveal that information to the president or to the prime minister or whoever it happens to be, because you can't guarantee that they will keep their trap shut. Mm-hmm. So, Roswell is one of them. What other conspiracy theories? What about Hillary Clinton and
the pizza?
all the Hillary?
Yeah, mine's
pizza
JFK,
Oh,
the assassination
God.
theories.
No, don't
on
change the
JFK.
subject. We want to do Hillary Clinton and watch Kathleen go crazy.
My God.
I think it's more better
Alex
document
Jones.
that the elections in 2000 and 2004 really did have a conspiracy of people trying to keep the rightful winners from winning.
Well, yeah, there's so many. The JFK obviously is a huge one. The JFK conspiracy. Then they have the Masons.
What about Elvis?
Elvis is alive. Paul McCartney supposedly died in
McCartney as
1966.
well, 80.
It was replaced by a lookalike, right?
Yeah, very look
Or
alike.
actually, being that you brought up Elvis, Tupac not being dead.
Still making money, releasing new albums after all these
Or the
years.
murders of Jimi Hendrix and
Yeah.
There's the
3, 4.
The most spiteful, the most disgusting ones are the people that deny the Sandy Hook massacre.
Yeah.
God, that
And
shit pisses me
man,
off
that's-
so bad.
It
That's
makes my
awful.
blood boil.
Horrible people.
They come
Horrible.
up with, and these are
Holocaust
the
deniers.
parents. The Holocaust
Same thing.
deniers are the same. But my favorite, it might be the Area 50. No.
Right.
Oh my God.
What?
Okay.
Which
no,
one?
no. Listen to this, guys. I actually flew to Las Vegas with Louis and my wife.
That's Dr. Orlando.
Maybe a few years back. And we changed planes in fucking Denver Airport.
I love that airport.
Oh,
that
wait.
airport.
We had 2 hours at the. I wish Louis was here. Oh my God, this is the creepiest place, the weirdest fucking place you can ever Imagine.
What?
How are you
Fucking kidding me?
I've been there lots of times.
my
Yeah, our producer is agreeing
Oh,
here.
you
I have to go through there.
You have not
Make the
paid
case, make the
fucking
case.
attention. You guys, first of all,
I've been through there
first
like
of
8
all,
times.
Okay,
the
listen
past-
to this. Listen to this very carefully. Okay. By the way, I was here when the Denver airport was built. And I remember, because I had a good friend that was living in Denver, how much ruckus it caused the new airport. It was supposed to be built for $1.7 billion, which is outrageous, in 1992. Imagine 1991, 92, $1.7 billion for
It's a
airport.
lot of money.
When they already had a perfectly nice airport. It was only 6 miles from the city's downtown. They're building a fucking biggest airport in area in the freaking world, the size of 2 Manhattans.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh no, it's
yes.
It's giant.
The size of 2 Manhattan
Why?
Islands. That's the thing. Let me tell you. So
You
they're
have to
building
take a
it.
tram to get
they're-
anywhere.
Yeah, they're building it 25 miles. I mean, this is ridiculous. Far, far away. Okay. Also, the airport ended up costing almost $5 billion. And I did all this research after going through the airport
what's
and
underneath
having my mind blown. All right, so Denver, if you think about it, is the greatest place to have a survival city built, right? In case of a civilization-ending event. All right, so this area is enormous. They built it forever. It cost $5 billion. Nothing cost $5 billion in 1992.
Who paid the $5 billion?
Nobody fucking knows. Nobody knows who built it. They say that it was built by something called the New World Commission. It doesn't exist.
Wow.
People say it was built by private funds. Nobody knows who these private funds are. You walk through the airport and you get goosebumps. The entire airport is covered with cryptic murals. There's one mural that will scare the shit out of you. It's a giant mural of the angel of death wearing a gas mask. And a giant angel of death wearing a gas mask, waving an AK-47 and a giant sword, slaughtering the white dove of peace. And under his feet in a basement, they're refugees cowering. Then there's a freaking statue that's gonna scare the shit out of you, called the Mustang. It's this giant fiberglass horse that looks like Pegasus. On the back, in the background, there's burning fields. It's just really scary.
Let me get this straight. This was built before they legalized marijuana.
Yes. then get this.
You're sure?
Then there's a statue of a demon coming out of a suitcase. There's freaking what else? We saw the weirdest thing. We saw a stone like a tombstone, and it said underneath is buried a time capsule to be opened in 2094, and this is paid by the New World Commission, and has like a Masonic symbol on it, and it's really bizarre. And the whole place, I'm just telling you one of the murals.
But
you see the murals.
could that thing lift up and reveal a staircase down to the survival city below?
That's
Raccoon
To
City.
be opened in 2094 and let the people back out again.
here's what people speculate.
great.
The
People-
mole people by
yeah.
that time. Yeah.
People say that it's probably there is a bunker underneath to house maybe very rich people. It's built by private funds. Nobody knows who financed it. $5 billion in 1994. Far from the city. No reason whatsoever for the size of it. And then it was like 2012. Oh, and one of the murals, by the way, depicts
The history
Mayan.
of an airport.
Yeah.
Evo.
No, seriously. I mean, I got interested in it because I was there and I
just
my
want
mind
to
was
say,
blown.
I think I know why I've never noticed these things of which you speak.
Yeah.
It's because as soon as I get through security, I get trashed on Bloody Marys.
Oh, yeah. See, that's...
And then I get on
that's
a tram and I take the wrong one, and then I have to walk fucking back, and then
That's always a
it's
good strategy. But yeah, look at the weird shit all over the airport. Little cryptic signs, little things. Horrible murals that depict bizarre gory stuff. One of the murals depicts the Mayan calendar and the days.
Nice.
For why? Why in 1992?
Okay,
Then-
whoever paid for that is really seriously
Sick.
creepy.
Now,
But I mean, have you ever like did any like I mean, it really impressed you? Have you ever tried to research anything about that art, where it's came from? Or...
I researched the horse. I remember because the horse is so bizarre, and it was built by a Spanish or Mexican artist or New Mexico. He was from New Mexico, and it was just this really scary-looking horse. And it's giant. And the horse, as he was building the horse, the head of the horse fell on him and killed him.
Well, here's one for you.
Yeah.
And, just sort of drag it back to some... Pretty much, if you think of pictures of England, right? One of the pictures is the White Cliffs of Dover. Lots of people will think of the White Cliffs of Dover.
Yeah.
And so when I was at school down in Kent near the White Cliffs of Dover, we knew that there was a fort underneath Dover Castle and behind the White Cliffs. We're schoolboys, okay? And everybody used to say, nah. So we would stay up at night, and once a month they would change the guard. And there'd be a big, long convoy head up to the castle of army trucks, 3-ton army trucks full of soldiers. And then an hour or two later, another convoy would come back full of soldiers. This is in the late 60s, mid-60s. Today, if you go to Dover and you want to look at Dover Castle and stuff like that, look across the channel at France, you can go on a tour of the castle. It's fascinating. It's owned by British Heritage, and you're allowed to take photographs and what have you. And then you can go and have a look at the hospital that is underneath the castle. You are not allowed to look at the nuclear bunker that is underneath the hospital, behind the White Cliffs, because it's still part of the Official Secrets Act. However, you can go for a tour around it, but because it's part of the government installation, you are not allowed to take photographs of it, because it's not there. So you can't take photographs of it, because if it was there, you'd be able to take a photograph of it. Because it's not there, you can't take a photograph of it, but they will let you go for a tour around it if you want. And pay.
So this is where
what I'm getting at is that
the world comes to an end.
That when I was a little boy at boarding school, Ickle boy, I was 8, and we went to this school in a big country house, and we used to, somehow there was this rumour that there was an old airstrip that spies used to use during the war. And we as little boys, we would go off on a Sunday looking for this airstrip. I only found out when I was in my mid-50s that in fact we just didn't go far enough to find the airstrip that was actually there.
And you had I knew it.
And we knew, and I had an I knew it, and they said that this big country house at our school, in fact, it had been a dog food place, had been evacuated there during the war, but it was a secret listening place in real life.
That's interesting.
Now, so, conspiracy theories, sometimes conspiracy theories are real.
There's some that kind of make sense, like the cancer-suppressing drug, the cancer cure suppressing industry. It's possible that it is a giant cancer industrial complex that doesn't want people to use alternative medicine, or something that actually can cure cancer. I mean, that's kind of believable.
Even doing 1 year of anything related to medical school, I can tell you exactly why that would never happen.
Okay.
And it's because of two reasons. One, cancer isn't something that you can get rid of once and then it goes away for forever, because it's literally cellular mutation. That's...
Oh yeah, we know. Yeah.
Right, no,
It's a bit like taxes. That's cellular mutation as well.
And it's something that, like, if you cure it once, it's not like it will never be used again. It's not like you can eradicate it. It's something that happens naturally within, so it can't, like... It's essentially, if you get... It still takes something to cure it, but it's still going to keep reappearing within other people. It's not something you can do once and then it will never impact.
Well,
them
you
again.
didn't convince me, but I understand the point. It's not bad. It's not a bad point.
If he had said it in Bulgarian, would he have convinced you then?
Let me think about it. No. So, how do you feel about the electric car? Do you remember the movie?
Well, that's a conspiracy.
Yes,
That is your conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
Hell no.
I mean, it stands to reason, doesn't it?
No,
I mean, it stands to reason.
No, because I was fully on that train when I was young, because I used to think of that, and then I realized the realities of people actually who buy it. They're not signing up for at least where electric cars were in the 90s.
When you were young, that was 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. By the way, just remembered something.
Meant you're number one with that finger.
Just remembered something. 2012, a comet. I think the name of the comet was Elenis. Flew by 22 miles from Earth, and it was going to be a civilization-ending event if it struck us. And here's the thing, and a lot of the conspiracy around the airport, the Denver airport, revolves around the fact that private funds have built it. It's about the richest people are going to hide there. But when that happened, it fueled all the conspiracy theories because Barack Obama was whisked into Denver immediately on that day when the flyby of the comet happened. The President Obama was taken to Denver, so people were saying, hey, maybe it's a government-funded project.
No, it's just higher up so you could see it better.
I don't know.
I thought about it for a second.
Well, I don't know whether you're paying attention to the media at the moment, but the latest conspiracy theory with regard to what's going on up in the sky is that NASA has announced that it is, in fact, monitoring, along with various other multinational space agencies, a cigar-shaped object.
Very phallic, I would say.
Yes, a cigar-shaped object that is traveling in our general direction and is emitting low-frequency radio waves, magnetic pulses.
Yeah.
They're listening, but is it actually emitting them?
Well, they can hear it coming from it.
Yeah.
And they're wondering whether it is, in fact, a probe.
An interstellar
They've talked about, yes, a probe.
It's a great name for a rock band.
Whether it is a probe.
Probably.
So who knows whether it is a probe. Have we got any other conspiracy theories? What about conspiracy theories from Brazil?
Ooh,
Has Brazilians got any conspiracy theories over there down in Brazil?
Yeah, I'm trying to think, but it's funny. Like it's almost seems like everything came like planted to here, or they feed like on a conspiracy theories from the US.
Well, the biggest.
I remember since I was kid, like the man never went to the moon. It cracks me out.
Conspiracy theories?
You know what's shocking to me is Donald Trump, who's one of the biggest conspiracy theories of all time. The birtheism is a conspiracy theory, but he just last week actually urged NASA to go back to the moon. And I'm saying,
man, bring him, and he needs to go together, and they dump him over there.
One-way ticket. Now I was thinking
Why is he doing this?
that he probably lost the support of all of his base because none of them believe that we've ever been on the moon. So they must be in shock that he actually thinks that we've been on the moon already.
Now, there is a conspiracy theory as well with regard to the president, and it's a very strange conspiracy theory, but it is still a conspiracy theory, albeit a bit strange, and that is that what resides on his head is not, in fact, a yellow cat.
Yes.
And it is, in fact, only a wig. It is not alive. It's in fact a wig.
There's a very bizarre conspiracy theory that claims that the food at Conroy's is made out of organic matter.
Really?
It's just kind of hard to believe.
Okay, so conspiracy theories, what we've basically come to the conclusion is that Some are just conspiracy theories, and that Hillary Clinton is not, in fact, from Mars, but is a real person.
We're going to fucking Denver, all of us.
Yeah, we're going to go to
We're going to
Denver.
go to the airport.
I go there like every 2 months.
Take a walk around.
Yeah, look at you.
I go there every 2 months.
How
It's
how
not
possible
weird.
is it to be
Oh,
as
it's very
weird as
weird.
you are? I mean, you're obviously from another planet. Why you don't just say so?
I wanted
then we'd
to get
all know.
out of there
You know,
fast.
what was the name of that TV show that had had the 5 people, the crew from a different planet?
Third Rock from the
Third
Sun.
Rock from the
yeah.
Sun. Well, there you are. I think he's.
Oh, how
like,
about the lizard shape-shifting, blood-sucking lizard people that Alex Jones is obsessed with?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that believe this.
That he is one of.
No, he believes that the royal family are lizard people, controlled by lizard or controlled by the lizard people. You've never heard this? This is one of his most famous.
This is not
Nice.
somebody
we
I
normally
listen to,
execute
no.
people who
The lizard people.
we like Bulgarians, but we will.
Drink human blood. They control the world. They're extremely wealthy, and they're
Yeah.
aliens.
And Diana was introduced to them when she got married to Prince Charles.
Oh, Diana conspiracy theory about her death, right?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
another one.
There's lots of
Yeah.
conspiracy theories there.
As we record this podcast, we are rapidly approaching the holidays.
Oh boy.
If you are down in the dumps, how do you cheer yourself up? Particularly if you happen to have little or no money. What steps do you take to cheer yourself up and get you outside of the dumps, Jane?
I watch clips from Hot Rod. It is a hilarious movie, and
We don't.
there is one scene in particular where he
Excuse me,
has-
I just need to interrupt you a minute, Jane. I'm sorry. Evo is in the process, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, of ordering food.
Yes.
He's ordered a salad. Would you please make sure it has no boiled eggs on it?
Oh no, I love boiled eggs.
No boiled
Yeah,
eggs.
boiled
All
eggs for
boiled
sure.
eggs.
Definitely boiled.
God, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to cheer yourself up, don't sit next to a Bulgarian who eats boiled eggs. It's a really bad thing. So you like to watch particular clips of a movie about hot rod racing?
no, the movie's called Hot Rod, but it's basically this the old cast of Saturday Night Live, and Andy Samberg and a few others, Spader, and anyway, it's just absolutely ridiculous. It's very absurd, and there is this one part where they've recreated the ridiculous dancing scene from Footloose and Kevin Bacon's Footloose, and it makes me literally cry every time I watch it. It never gets old. It's just damn hilarious.
I've seen this scene.
There are a bunch of movies that are like that. There's the Blues Brothers. Always cheers you up a little.
Or the clip from that stupid movie. I didn't even like it, Jerry Maguire, but when Cuba Gooding Jr. has him yelling, "Show me the money!" and everybody in the office is like, "What the hell?" I don't know why. It's just funny.
So
Okay,
you watch funny movies.
You watch funny movies.
No,
Evo,
just clips.
Evo, you know, if you're down in the dumps, it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or what have you. Is there anything that you like to do that sort of just go inside yourself and
Yeah.
to help yourself cheer yourself up?
Yeah, I order a big salad with a boiled egg on it. You know, it doesn't cost anything to run. I like to run, so I get the hell out of the house and I run around the neighborhood. And I like running. I know not many people do.
Do you shout
But-
anything while you run?
Do
like
you
you're
wear
all gonna
specific
die?
clothing when you
Yeah.
run?
No, nothing. I don't wear any clothes when I run.
Ouch.
I mean,
Awesome mental picture.
When are you next
No.
running? Just so we can go and watch. Particularly Jane.
absolutely
Fascinated. Never seen a naked
by the way,
Bulgarian speed
I've
before.
skied down. I've skied naked. We did some crazy things when we were young, and I had a group of friends
In
that.
snow, not water.
Oh yeah, in snow, and we were going skiing a lot, and we've done naked skiing a few times. And what I've discovered, if the physics of it are very bizarre, because you know parallel turns.
Yes.
You know, you shift your center of gravity and you do parallel turns, and there's rhythm to it, rhythm.
Oh,
And then,
that's just. I never figured out this turning bit.
yeah, but what I've discovered is the guys, like when I do it, there's like a bizarre pendulum effect where you turn to the right and parts of you turn to the other. It's very bizarre. It's like, yeah. You turn right and you. I don't know it's momentum or what's the physics of it.
Do you find as you get further? Do you find as you get further down the hill, you're picking up snow and that puts extra weight on what you might call your third leg?
Yeah, you could. But you know what?
Because this is the problem I would have.
I've done a lot of stupid stuff skiing. I've done drunk skiing, which is really dumb.
Oh yeah, that would be dumb.
It's very dangerous because you gain a lot of speed, a lot of momentum, and I remember one time crashing into two 200-pound Scottish women. And I don't know how I didn't kill them. But
did you end up with 4 100-pound Scottish women?
No, I tried to hug them and I realized there's only one. But yeah, it's dangerous.
Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen.
So I like to run, and the best thing about Christmas is there's an incredible day of NBA basketball every Christmas. They usually match up the best teams. Usually the champion from the previous year with the team that challenged them play on Christmas. I hide in the basement from all the guests, and I spend like 6 hours watching game after game after game. It's so much fun. I know the poor players hate being away from their family on Christmas, but fuck them. I like to watch.
It brings your holiday cheer.
Related to that, I remember there was a story when Zach Randolph first came into the NBA, and he asked Steve Kerr, when do we get to go home for Christmas? Yeah.
Steve Kerr said never.
Kathleen, what do you do if you're down in the dumps? What do you do to cheer yourself up?
Choice of two things. I work a really hard solitaire or numbers puzzle, killer Sudoku or something, because when you concentrate on logic of where numbers should go, your mind gets taken away from everything else, and it's remarkably calming.
Puzzles.
Oh yeah,
it's great therapy.
Oh yeah. Or the other thing is to make something, preferably something like a knitted hat made out of leftover wool, which you force one of your stepsons to wear. That's hilarious. I love that.
Not pipe bombs or anything.
No.
Knitting stuff.
Create something, or crafts or sewing or
nothing
that sort of thing.
Involves ammonium nitrate.
No problem. Not normally.
Fernando, you've had a few occasions when in your life I happen to know when you could be said to be down in the dumps. You're not as happy as normal.
Salad.
What do you do to pull yourself out of a fug and make yourself a little happier? What do you have any things that you like to visit and do? Things you'd like to, whether it's read a good book or listen to music or go for a run or make something, or
is that like kind of Christmas?
Lots of people find we're coming up to the holidays, and people get more and more depressed.
Right.
And I'm trying to find out, so for our listeners who listen to this before Christmas, what might they do other than just get rat-arsed?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty peaceful on Christmas. Usually it's very laid back. I like to don't follow the tradition that my kids had before, and usually let's say a lot of small things, but nothing too insane, you put yourself in debt, but you get some kind a lot of fun stuff, and you start giving almost a week away, and each day I usually use the same packaging. It would be some recyclable cardboard box, and I put the gift inside. And next day they see, and could be small. Let's say the cardboard box will be
So you use the same box.
The same box because
presents.
I keep the tradition that I'm the worst packaging.
No, I am.
So they love it and I use a masking tape, or maybe whatever is there. Maybe I can wrap up if there is a piece of string. So I care zero about the presentation. But they know that there is something kind, and usually the kids have a blast on that. I kind of love to dig into that. But
Brennan, I was going to go to Evo, but he's got his mouth full of boiled egg. It's disgusting. Brennan, what do you do? You're much younger than the rest of the crew here. Do you find sometimes your special someone is 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Do you have any things that you like to do that you can share with us?
Oh, hey!
That you like to do to cheer yourself up?
It's mostly out of my friend group. A lot of them do not live in the United States, so Christmas is not necessarily for some of them, Christmas is not necessarily a special time because they're not in this country, or they're in another country that Christmas is not held in as high of esteem as it is. So usually I'll try to talk with them, play video games online with them. Generally, because so many of their friends are also international as well, that it's a time when, generally, if you have nothing going on, it's a great time to get in contact with everyone.
Now, I can say that Brennan is a 20-something.
21.
And at Thanksgiving, for instance, you cook the Thanksgiving meal for your family. Do you do the same at Christmas?
No, Thanksgiving we do just because it's normally just me and my parents and maybe my grandmother. Christmas, we always go to my Italian aunt, who she goes insane.
You have an Italian aunt? Oh my God.
Can we come with you?
Well, she's pretty much adopted becoming Italian because her husband, his family is entirely from Sicily. So Christmas is delicious.
What does she cook? Like, what
We
kind of
made
food?
last year, because I went over and helped her cook for Christmas as well. We made 3 trays about yay by yay.
Lasagna.
But yeah, lasagna.
Just
Just
for the
for the
listeners
radio
who
again.
can't
Yeah,
see,
what was the yay
does
by
yay
yay?
mean? How big is yay?
I'm trying to think exactly how to say it. Like about half as long as this table is, probably
yes,
about.
but for the listeners who can't hear,
Yeah, the table
will we
maybe
talk about
2
2 feet?
maybe 12 inches by 8 inches and about 5 or 6 inches deep. That completely full of lasagna 3 times over.
Wow. Okay.
That's not healthy.
It was delicious, though. It was delicious.
Evo, who used to be my friend
Yeah, sour
Before
grapes.
the eggs.
Sour
before
grapes.
the eggs, any further thoughts on what you do to cheer yourself up? You go running.
I go running.
NBA.
I watch basketball. I eat salad.
Boil eggs.
Yeah, I might actually go to the movies. Usually they release big time pictures, like they're gonna do Star Wars this year right on Christmas or around Christmas. So
That's getting very good reviews, isn't it? The new Star Wars.
yeah, it's getting good reviews, but I might do that or just watch. Sometimes I watch Christmas movies that I like Love Actually or Christmas Story. Christmas Story.
Okay, let's.
What does Jeremy do?
What I do?
Or Die Hard.
I like to go somewhere warm and wet. Not necessarily in that order, as long as it's wet and warm.
So the strip club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was that wide open. You had to.
I play games with myself, and
Oh yeah.
Hey,
At the
and
strip
you-
club?
And you were
Wow.
you were telling me about stuff I could say on here.
but I like. Yeah, no, I go off to my special place. I learnt this on a TV show. I go off to my favourite beach, and I sit there, and I turn on in my head all the sounds and the smells and everything else, and that's where I go.
none
One
of
Christmas
us-
it was really awful. We had for reasons it doesn't matter. It was a pretty shitty Christmas. And I went and sat in my car, drove the car down the road, went and sat in a bit of car parking, and I just sat there and churned, and sort of quietly got my act back together again. But it's very difficult. And when people say to you, when you're depressed, and people say to you, you need to pull your socks up, hit them,
Nobody says.
because that.
Nobody
because-
Who
hears
says
that.
that?
no, I'm not saying they do, but people do that.
Right.
And they say pull your socks up, and it's not about pulling your socks up. It's because you maybe not feeling very well, or you want to be somewhere else, or you
Yeah,
want to
it
be
is,
with
yeah.
somebody else, and you can't. And so all you can do is to go to your special place and think about when you can achieve those things, or you've got to deal with a difficult person. And another friend of mine says I can put up with anything for a few days, and that's probably true. But but it's often. I often also think how. I don't want to be holier than thou, but how lucky I am. For instance,
That's what I was going to say.
I
Are
could-
we
I could
horrible
be in the
person
military.
people?
And be on the other side of the planet, God, wouldn't it have been awful back during the war when you're a conscript? You didn't volunteer to be sent to France and your family's back here in America. So or Vietnam is another good example.
Yeah.
But let me ask you a final question for tonight's podcast. Excuse me. Why do Americans, pretty much all Americans as far as I can tell, find Ancestry and their roots and root search engines so fascinating? Does the panel think, for example, that the DNA search engines we see on the TV are a con? Particularly since we know that recently some triplets sent in separate tests and the results all came back different. Let's start with Dr. Fernando. What do you think about tracing your roots and all that sort of ancestry?
Man,
because you're from
that's
Brazil.
a fun one.
You see, again,
really-
Brazil, they don't have any roots in Brazil, do they?
Well, no, there is many roots, and I'm curious, like, because I'm sort of underdog. There is so many different bloods, like, running through me that it's amazing. Like, just on I gonna just put, like, a few nations, like, just on my father's side, you have, like, Romanian, Cuban, and my mom's side, all the Spanish and variations of, like, Portuguese people, but there is way more. Like, it's such a mix. Like, I'm just curious what would be the answer, but I mean,
It's fascinating, though. I mean, if you dig in
it is like,
and look at your genetic makeup, you might discover some amazing
yeah.
treasures.
But what's amazing about it? Everybody's made up to be a unique individual. Why is
Maybe-
it amazing what the
Yeah,
parts
well-
came from? I don't get it.
What would be the answer? Like, what? Like, I mean, like, what do you think?
Finding
like-
more about yourself, where you
Yeah.
come from,
The
is
thing is that Ivo and I, and you, Fernando, we're foreigners. I mean, whether we like it or not, we're foreigners.
True.
Particularly Ivo and Jeremy.
Well, everyone once upon a time here, actually, on the table.
Jane, you come from. Who knows where you come from? I mean, it could be Tonganoxie for all I know. Where do you come from? Do you have interest in where your family come from and going back a long way?
Yeah, I do. My mom has always been really big on genealogy, and she has kept really great records, tracks up until a certain point. But before that, who knows? Because nobody really kept track, Yeah, so, I think it's interesting.
why are the Mormons such a big genealogy culture and religion?
I don't know any, so I don't know.
There is a reason for it, and I can't think what it is.
Yeah.
Brennan, what about you?
I have a theory that the reason that most of the people in America find it so fascinating is because America has always been supposedly the giant melting pot of everyone comes from a different place. Like, we have a special determination of a Native American, so everyone tends to have roots outside of it. There's not a lot of people within the United States whose entire family is like native or original to this area. So it's always fascinating because we know we're not likely originally from here. So where are we? It's something that people just want a definite answer.
But why do you need to know?
Yeah.
Well, you don't
Why do you
need to
want to know?
Well, you don't need to know, but you want to know because it satisfies curiosity. Do you not find it big that you're curious? Well, I know I'm not from here. Where am I from?
I think it's fantastic because if you find about your roots, you find more about your genealogy, you end up probably learning about the place where you come from. You're going to end up researching. You're going to find out more about that place, about the history of it. Let's say you have a relative from Hungary. your great-grandfathers from Hungary. Then you go dig deep in and you find about the Magyars, this amazing, fascinating culture of the Magyars, about the language, about Budapest and the history of that area in Central Europe, and you travel there and you discover an entire new world, and you're part of it, and it's kind of enriching. I think it's always fascinating, except if you're from the Ozarks, and then your family tree doesn't branch.
And it all just has to do with...
Sorry.
I think it just has to do with personal interest. Like, you talk about numbers and Sudoku, I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No, thanks. But tracing genealogy, that interests me. I don't know. It's just one of those, I think it's just a personal interest thing.
You see, we can go back,
interested,
and we have
fine,
done in particular in Jane's family. We can go back and we know what your grandfather was doing, and he was a flyer and all that sort of thing. But where do you go back beyond that? And it's interesting that because America is such a young country, really, you could go back. There are maybe historical records going back to say the 1600s, let's say. But much before that, there really isn't very much. Whereas in other countries like Bulgaria, which has been there for thousands of years, or Britain, where I come from, I often point out that the church that we sent my father off in, you could look up and there are Norman paintings on the walls. That is to say, there are paintings on the walls that were put there
Roman.
1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
But that's quite impressive if you're into that sort of thing. But Kathleen,
she's not interested.
No, if it's an aid to making you have more of an interest in looking at cultures and learning something, fine. But why in the world does somebody find it a source of pride to say that 300 years ago
I was related to the Queen of England.
No, what?
Yeah,
it's not. It has no reflection on you. None. None at all.
That's not the but you know what? But some people, like I always, you learn about yourself, and there's questions.
You don't learn about yourself by finding out what your great grandparents did. It has nothing to do with you.
Well,
you
if
could,
he was
for
a
example,
king related, he's a bastard.
Let me give you an example.
Think about it.
Let me give you an example.
Let Ivo give us an example.
All right, I've always been wondering, why am I so fascinated with medical sciences? And I don't memorize, I understand things related to physiology, biochemistry, medicine, anatomy, intuitively, like really, really quickly. And I'm fascinated by it, I understand it, I have affinity to it. And so maybe about 15 years ago, I started looking into my family tree. I discovered all of my ancestors were doctors. All of them on my father's line. Every freaking body was a doctor as far as I could look.
And of course you found that
Except
you're
for
real
my father.
engineers.
And
So
you
My
found
father
that
was the first one that didn't become a physicist. And I'm too sensitive to be a doctor, but I always had that.
But you found that, didn't you, that your family was called Ivanovstein.
Ivanovstein. I just, that answered a question I had about myself. About something that I didn't understand about myself, and I understood it's in my genes. It's always been there. It's always I have a lineage of people that were doctors, and all of them had an affinity towards the medical sciences.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Ivo, who are our sponsors today?
I was thinking about spotlighting several companies today that are really traditionally powerful sponsors for our podcast.
And we're very grateful to them.
Yeah, very grateful too. But in lieu of what's been happening here in the last 24 hours, today's sponsor is Roy Moore for Senate, for U.S. Senate.
Because they've got spare money, haven't they?
Yes. It has been an excellent campaign, excellent losing campaign. And they're also sponsoring 1999 Britney Spears, when she was still in high school. You can't spell Hit Me Baby One More Time without more. You can, but then it's going to be
How
Hit
long
Me
were
Baby
you
One
thinking
Time.
that up?
We'd
About
like
2
to
seconds.
thank our panel tonight. Of course, yes. Brennan, Kathleen, Jane, Evo, Fernando, and myself, Jeremy Taylor, the Brit, on the radio in your lugholes. I've cheered up now a little bit from when I was starting because it was cold and wet. Oh, God, here I go again. But what we also want to do is to thank our producers and engineer, Neil Rasmussen, of course, Eric, the producer, who will be shortly going off to binge watch Love Actually over and over and over and over and over and over.
Okay.
And Die Hard.
And Die Hard.
Yes.
Great Christmas film.
Great Christmas film. Shortly to be followed by the next Star Wars film. So, thank you very much for listening, folks. We'll get to you soon.
See you in the